Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Ben Thomas Show. Thanks for coming back. It's been a couple days since my last video, but I finally got this guy in the mail and I'm pretty excited. Of course, it's the Marty McFly Back to the Future 1/6 scale figure from Hot Toys. Now this is a bit of a divisive figure for me, so this isn't going to be a negative video, but it's not necessarily a super positive video either, so just a heads up. But if you like it, hit the like button for me, smash the subscribe, and let's just jump into it. Okay, so I will admit, I've been on the fence about this guy for a while, I'm not gonna lie. I was on 1/6 Fix on YouTube with Marco recently, and he unboxed this figure, so I got a chance to see this figure kind of from the other side of the camera, or essentially just from a reviewee's perspective, like most of us have. But Marty McFly has always been one of my favorite characters of all time. I loved the Back to the Future movies as a kid, 1 and 2. 3 was still good, but it wouldn't necessarily be the movie I'd want to collect from. But this iconic outfit and this iconic character is definitely something that I wanted to have in my collection. And obviously you see this, the box art here, it doesn't disappoint. When you get it out of the shipper, it looks wicked. You get that first sleeve off and you get a chance to see this sleeve, which of course has the DeLorean there. Again, I just think it's really cool. Now it's interesting because this is of course Back to the Future 1 Marty, but this image kind of screams Back to the Future 2. Now again, one of those kind of end credit scenes, not quite the end credit I guess, but before the credits roll scenes, we do get a chance to see the DeLorean fly in the first movie, so it's passable. You open up the slipcover and you can see that the figure does come with a decent amount of stuff. Now, one of the things that I was disappointed about this release, which of course, as most of you guys know, is a 2.0, is it doesn't come with the guitar. It comes with Einstein. Now, I like Einstein, don't get me wrong, even as a character, and I like dogs. I think it's cool to have a 1/6 scale dog, but I'm disappointed it doesn't come with a guitar. Now, the instructions on the bottom are kind of cool because it also shows the Doc Brown. It's been at least announced. Clearly we haven't seen an actual in-hand release of that yet. But getting the clamshell off and kind of immediately looking into the box, I'm excited for what it does come with. I'm already kind of picturing some of the poses that I'm going to try with this guy, but it was the likeness on the face that has deterred me from pulling the trigger on this guy since its release. And part of that was because I never really loved the likeness of the first version. And when this version was released, I did think that this had a superior likeness to Michael J. Fox, even though I also think that the version 1 figure has a pretty decent likeness as well, but just in kind of subtly different ways. The face shape is different, hair coloring is a little different. So they both kind of look like Marty to me, but they also both don't really look like Marty, and that irks me just a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. I'm used to having figures in my collection that I feel have some of the best face sculpt quality on the market. The Dx11 Joker, even though I understand that Queen is coming out with a new version soon, the Dx11 for the longest time had the best Joker likeness. My Endgame Captain America, same way. The Chris Evans portrait there is beautiful. The Tom Holland portrait on the upgraded Spider-Man suit is beautiful. This is a good sculpt because it's well painted, but I'm not sure it's looking like Marty McFly. Either way, I'm going to get some of these other accessories out of the box. Now, this is way more plush than I expected. It is stuffed with stuffing, which is interesting. So later in the video I'm going to see if I can get some of that out. Quick view in here, we got a couple of accessories, so let's take a better look at that later. Okay, I'm going to try and move this around and get these things out of the box so it's a little bit easier to see, so let's get it out here, guys. First I'm just going to kind of stand up Marty so we have an idea of what he looks like. Pretty regular museum pose, really nothing too special there at all. Pulling Einie out of the box and kind of posing him down beside Einie. You can kind of see that angle more than I expected, my Joker figure has socks, but it seems like he has longer socks, so he's able to it's able to kind of cover over those ankle joints. But damn, those ankle joints are really ugly. That's unfortunate. Looks cute with Einstein. I'm not honestly sure I would display my Marty with Einstein though. I don't really think it looks like Einstein either. It looks like somebody who's cosplaying to be Marty McFly and doing a damn good job, but just not quite for me. The plush backpack is also really epic, so I'm gonna definitely take the stuffing out of that. But again, here's just a cool pose of him, at least with his camcorder out, which we'll show a little closer here shortly. The posability I noticed just in those first couple poses is a bit challenging, especially because of all the layers that he has. And the wrist pegs with the arms that are just not matching in color are really ugly, especially for a figure that has his sleeves rolled up. The other part I'm not loving is the hair. It looks just kind of base painted to me. It doesn't have a lot of the coloration that I would have thought it might for a 2021 release. And again, I'm not trying to be negative on these figures by any stretch. I love Hot Toys, and I still think that this is now the best representation of Marty on the market. I mean, look, he even comes with his pins on the outfit. Like, the different layers, to me, in my mind's eye, are perfect. And I pulled up Back to the Future 1 and turned it on in the background while I kind of like posed him and played with him and stuff. He has this exact patterning on his jacket. The pants are on point. That shirt underneath, the plaid is on point. The pins are all perfect and like even placed in the right area. I think his suspenders look so good. And he's a really posable figure because of the material that you get with him. So like his lower half feels posable. His upper half is not so much. Oh, you hate to see it. Let's get this guy balanced. Okay, better. So you can see he can balance on one knee, which is pretty cool. Again, those socks roll down a little bit, which is unfortunate. But it's hard to see his socks in the movie, I'm not going to lie, so maybe he had socks like that more often. I can see that these pants may crease slightly over time, but not to the point that I think they would, get damaged. I just think that you'd see some of those crease lines. Now, the hands are a bit of a point of contention for me as well. The detail is there because you can see skin spotting, but like there's no dirt under the fingernails. It looks like a very basic Hot Toys hand paint to me, which again I'm a little bit disappointed with. I felt like Marty McFly needs to be a specialty figure, something that they really amp up in terms of the quality. The shoes are pretty decent. I like the tread on the bottom, and I like that the tread looks dirty. The skateboard he comes with is also pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie, it's got the texturing on the top. It also has kind of the vinyl overlay sticker. The wheels do move, and the wheels look dirty, which is really nice. I do like that. And the bottom side of it is perfect. Like, again, watching the movie and watching the review here, you'll see that the skateboard is exactly the same, which is amazing. And again, the fact that they wheel or turn, rotate is cool. And I do like that. Not that I'm going to necessarily wield my Marty McFly around, but I like the fact that it does really feel like a 1/6 scale skateboard. So props to them. Now, taking just a bit closer of a look at Einstein, like I said earlier in the video, I don't really think he looks a lot like Einstein from the movie, which is a bit unfortunate. It's close. It's close enough. And if somebody who doesn't collect Hot Toys walks past your collection, they're going to be like, wow, there's Marty and Einstein. That's cool. If you watch the movie and play with the figure, I just caution against it a little bit, because I think that's where some of my likeness complaints are coming from. I'm not seeing the likeness in either character. It's cute that they gave him like little footprints, and he's way heavier than I would have expected. I'm not gonna lie, like pulling him out of the box, he's like a really weighted little figure, but I don't love him. Like I mentioned earlier, the backpack is super plush. Now in the movie, you see the backpack kind of flat on the skateboard when he's wheeling around. Like that's how he gets around, gets to school, all the good stuff, right? The cool thing about this backpack is you actually can open the zippers on the side. It's got this nice material on the bottom. And look at the amount of fluff I pulled out of this bad boy. That's just the bottom compartment. It's just kind of a shot to show you what looks like in the bag. So you can technically use it with your Marty figure as a legit bag. I obviously caution it just because even though I was able to get the zippers open with no problem and closed again with no problem, they're little and probably really fucking easy to break. So just be really careful about that. I got the cushioning out of the front as well and kind of squished it on here to the skateboard, and it's better to me for sure. I think it's better. So just be careful if you do that little bit of a mod, but I do ultimately think it ends up being worth it. It's really soft backpack, I will say that. Like, the material is extremely soft, but again, here we go, just a kind of a better look at it. Now, this camcorder is, I think, one of the best accessories in the box. Look at the different material types around the handles, the straps, the lens is blue. There's a little bit of writing around the lens cap, the buttons on the side. It's fantastic. And the newspaper this comes with is really, really good. The Jennifer Love note on the back is just a heartwarming bit of the film, right? And you know he's got that with him the whole time. So for that to be added to the accessory list, I think it's phenomenal. Now, I didn't look at too much at this figure other than the brief unboxing I had with Marco, and I'd forgot that this piece existed. So one of my original complaints about the figure was that the wrist pegs show too much. But then I found the watch in the box, and I will tell you that the watch definitely does cover at least one of those ugly wrist pegs pretty well. I'm going to show you a pose later in the video here, guys, where he's looking down kind of at his watch in that iconic pose. Don't want to spoil it, but you will get a chance to see what that looks like. Now, I've got to give this one props. This looks exactly like the Walkman from the film, so that's impressive. The cord attached to it definitely will be brittle, so be careful with it, but it's also got more pliability than I expected. I was able to get the headphones around the back of Marty's neck no problem by slotting it over his head. After doing it, I would recommend taking the head off before you do it and then kind of slotting it through that way. Might be a little bit easier, less stress on the cord and the headphones themselves, but just something to note. And then lastly, of course, he comes with the figure base. I don't have a figure base that looks like this, so for me, it's a meh. I don't normally keep my figure bases out anyways, so I like that it's got at least the iconic title right on the display base with the Marty McFly. I think it looks classy. If I ever change the location of my Marty and I wanted a display base, I think it's good. I would like it, but I don't collect every figure like some of you folks do, so I can see why that could be a bit of a point of contention as well. Now, for me, this is going to be a figure that rocks a museum pose most of the time. I hate the ankle pegs and I hate the wrist joints. Even with the watch covering on the right hand, I find them to take me out of the immersion of the character or the figure. It breaks it for me, and that's okay. If anything, it's not even really the wrist pegs that bother me the most, it's the likeness. But with some of the poses, I'm able to kind of pull up his collar and slightly hide the sculpt. I also have my figures displayed across the room, so getting this guy on the shelf, it actually looks pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. I've had it for a couple days now. I've warmed up to it quite a lot. I like what he looks like in some of these poses holding the board. I like the dynamics with the legs. It's subtle, but it's definitely character. I can see Marty McFly in this when I look at it. And again, I think for any family or friends that we have come over and see our collections, they're going to look at this and be like, that's the coolest Marty McFly I've ever seen. And it is. We're just innately critical sometimes because these do cost a lot of money. And for some of the figures that I have in my collection, the likeness just isn't there for me. If I had to rate this figure, I would give it a 7 out of 10. I've thought about it quite a few days. It was lower for me when I initially opened the box. It definitely did increase the longer I've had it in my display and come to love it. So it's not perfect, but in my opinion, it's the best representation of Marty McFly we currently have in 1/6 scale. If you've been on the fence about this figure and you love it, get it. If you love it for your collection, get it. Don't let my opinions sway your judgment, but don't necessarily do what I do either. I had kind of a bad gut check on this one to begin with, and then I felt a little bit validated, which made me then feel a little disappointed. And that's never how we should feel. These are the things that we collect, they're the things that we love. So I'm excited to hear from you guys. If you have this in your collection, what are your thoughts on it? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you have some of the similar issues that I have with it, but still love it like I do? Or have you just decided not to buy it because it's really not on point for you and you're like, nope, I'm going to wait for Queen Studios or one of those other companies? Love to hear your thoughts, guys. Thanks for watching the video. If you like it, hit the like, smash the subscribe for me, and we'll catch you on the next video.